Hey, it's Christy and Amanda.
Two girls from Saskatchewan, Canada, living the Reiki life while working the 9 to 5. Hey everyone, you are here on episode 57, and we have a solo episode for you today. So it's just me and Christy. If this is your first time here, my name is Amanda, and we are both Reiki practitioners and branched off doing other things as well that we're going to maybe touch on today. But first, we like to share a little update. So Christy, what is going on with you?
Yeah, hey Amanda. I actually just had to put some socks on. My feet were cold. I haven't had socks on in like months. And it's like, I go outside and the leaves are turning yellow and I'm like, oh my goodness, like fall is coming. But yeah, it's been a good summer. But anyways, yeah, what I wanted to share was I've been really getting into meditations. Like myself, like self-guided meditations, and I wanted to start creating self-guided meditations for people to listen to. And I've been testing this out on a few different people, and what I've been doing is when I'm in that person's Akashic record, after I do their reading and find out what blocks they have and what's all going on, I tune into their guides and I let their guides guide me to do a guided meditation for them, which is really cool. Because I just go, like I hit record and I just go with the flow. I was like, I need to script and write this out. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wing it. And each time it's been really magical, just the things that would come through. And then a spirit guide would come by and then an archangel would pop in, and just like the visualizations and metaphors they have for us to like visualize different things, like opening a chakra or opening a creative flow, and just the energy flowing through our bodies like a golden spiral. Like all these visualizations that come to me are just, they're so neat. So this is something that I really want to work on in the next couple weeks here, so I can, share it with the community. I'm not sure how this is going to look yet. I kind of want to do like a free download and just get some feedback, and then kind of go from there. And then I do want to add it on to my Akashic record reading, like as an add-on, if somebody does want like a personalized guided meditation. And then I can also do, just like a generic one, like a certain topic, like you want to open your creative flow because you have an artist block or something and it's related to the sacral chakra, or maybe you want to like tune into more self-love. Like I'll have different topics and stuff. So I have all these grand ideas. I just need to, take them from my crown chakra and put them into, the physical space where people can, download them and see them and like, all of that. But yeah, I'm super excited about it.
Yes, and you should be. I think it's such a wonderful idea, especially to get a personalized one. I know I like to listen to meditations on YouTube sometimes if I just want that help and I don't want to be in silence by myself. And to have that personalized one, especially after being in someone's Akashics and seeing all their stuff, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. And yeah, I've just been in this crazy creative flow lately, and I just love it. I feel like it's ever since Lionsgate, something really opened up in me. And it's just, so I'm trying to harness it, because every once in a while I'll get these creative urges and it's like I need to put pen to paper because I know it'll be gone until it comes up again. So yeah.
Yes, take the action for sure.
Yeah.
And, we are in that Virgo new moon right now. So like use that time to get organized, right?
Yes. That's such a good idea. Because I feel like almost September can be like, it's kind of like the last quarter of the year. It kind of feels like a fresh start and just that Virgo energy. And yeah, good timing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, so what's going on with you?
So I know I've shared on the podcast about how I took hypnosis training, and specifically Dolores Cannon's hypnosis. I've taken a few courses, actually. I think that was the third one I took when I took hers. And so I don't know if anyone's ever heard of hypno Reiki, but that's kind of what I've been getting into lately. So I have this one client specifically that came to see me for hypnosis. And now when she comes for Reiki, I actually induce her. So I have a keyword that I use and I guide her through like almost like a meditation at the beginning. You know how we kind of do when we ground, but it's longer. And it's just to really promote that really deep state of relaxation. And then I work on her and I do hands on. So I know when people are in a really deep state of hypnosis, you are not supposed to touch them. But I do, like, and she's aware that I'm going to because she's almost like expecting it. So I work on and off her body and I give her Reiki. When somebody is deeply relaxed like that and their whole body is fully open, it is incredible. It is incredible to work on someone who is completely not like almost giving themselves to you to be like, yes, full send, get in there. It is unreal. It's like giving somebody a hug when their arms are open as opposed to them scrunched up and they're having their hands close to the body, right? The difference? It's kind of like that. So I was just so impressed with my last session that she just came just like a couple days ago. And I was just thinking how good that is and how I'm going to really start incorporating just a longer sense of relaxation at the beginning of my Reiki sessions, whether they're in person or if I'm doing them over the phone. Obviously, if it's straight distance, that wouldn't really be a thing, but I would hope somebody would feel comfortable and they would relax themselves at home, or I might even tell them, please take a few minutes to focus on your breathing and just really relax. But I have to say, I've really loved seeing the difference and the things that come through during a Reiki session like that.
Oh, I love that. That is such like an amazing combination because I just picture, you know, getting into that state where the nervous system like completely like takes that deep breath and it's like, ah, and that is where like the true healing happens. See that's what I've been learning because I'm taking a meditation course right now, and that's like what they teach is like you need to get into that meditative state to receive the healing. And by just, you know, taking a couple minutes or maybe like that 5 minutes at the beginning of a Reiki session just to really ground them in and then really be like aware of their breathing and bring them into their body, I think that is so beneficial rather than them just laying down and then just starting right away. I feel like that is just, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed it too. So anyway, I'm going to keep pushing with that. That's my
Yeah.
update.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so what's
Okay.
going on with astrology?
So, you know what's really fun? We actually have a new moon in Virgo again in September.
What?
So, you know how we just had, yeah, I know you're like, what? I know. We actually have two new moons in Virgo this year. But because they're not in the same month, it's not considered like a black moon. So, you know, when you have two full moons in the same month, it's called that blue moon.
Right.
But it's not like that since it's different months. But the new moon in Virgo is actually going to be September 21st. I'm opening with this because I find it really interesting. So this new moon is also coincides with a partial solar eclipse. So it even really amplifies. It brings parsing detail and craftsmanship. So eclipse energy propels change through a larger than usual shift. It's a chance to launch long-term personal and professional projects in both intention and momentum. And so again, Virgo is the hermit, as we talked about last month. Maybe I won't get into this too deep because it's the same thing. But, you know, discernment, analysis, um, even finding solitude to really plan things out and get those new intentions and flows, new habits starting. And then, so before this, we have the full moon in Pisces, and this is happening on September 7th. And this full moon is in an alignment with a total lunar eclipse. And it's also called the blood moon. So it's infused with intense emotional and spiritual potency, playing out within Pisces' watery, boundary dissolving realm. So, right, Pisces is that moon card in the tarot deck. So it's all about intuition, even your shadow self. So I know a lot of people sometimes, especially if they're just getting started on a Reiki journey, they can have those self-doubts and doubting their intuition. So, this is a really good time to utilize this full moon and try to let go of those things, like release those out because you can trust yourself. And I know it took Christy and I some time to get that going, but, work with those moon cycles to help you kind of going in the right direction. And yeah, so a lot of like eclipse stuff happening in September. And I know everyone's going back to school, so it might be kind of a really enhanced time for everyone.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't know about the eclipse season. I feel like I'm usually in tune with that information, but yeah, I totally forgot about that coming up in September. Wow. Okay. Prepared. And yes, another new moon in Virgo, another chance to get my shit together. So this is great.
I know. All the moms are thinking that too. It's like, okay, you got another shot at it.
Yes, that's right.
Things
Get
are gonna
organized.
cool down a bit.
Yeah. All right. Should we get into this week's episode?
Yeah, yes, you bet.
Yes, we have a few topics to cover. So it's like, did you know that your emotions don't just live in your mind, that they flow through hidden energy highways in your body? So today we are going to explore the distance Reiki symbol. And then we're also going to talk about like how the energy moves through meridians, what those are, the nadis, and even the organs where your emotions live. And then we're also going to dive into how scars, tattoos, and piercings can shape your energy flow as well. And then how Reiki can just restore that balance no matter where you are. So yeah, we got lots to cover today. So let's start out with the distance symbol.
Yeah. So I'm really glad we're talking about this today because especially the meridians and the Nadis, because it came up when I was getting ready for teaching my first Reiki masters. And then when I was teaching level 2, I was thinking about how great the distance symbol is, which is the Han Sha Zi Shonan. So it's the distance symbol we use in traditional Usui Reiki. And I just did not realize how much depth this symbol had. And I know when Christy and I first learned Reiki, we never used this symbol to be straight up. We learned about how to tune in. So we would tune our third eyes in with our client, which is another way you can do that. And I teach my students that. It's in my manual, level 2. But we would learn how to tune in that way. So using this Han Sha Zi Shonan, it's one of the symbols that you will learn in level 2, and it's for linking on a soul level. So it's no past, no present, no future. So this symbol is a lot more than just being able to send Reiki distantly. This symbol allows us to connect and heal to the deepest soul level. Linking with the soul enables us to transcend all time and space. And so we can send Reiki to others or ourselves even at any time. So past, present, or future. We can't change the past, of course, but we can change how it affects us and heal the trauma. So you would draw this symbol once, and we would draw it out, and we would chant its name 3 times in any instance that you are using it. So maybe it's before a Reiki session and you want to connect in, you're going to draw that symbol out, say its name 3 times before you begin your distance session. Or if you were in the middle of a session, and let's say, I know Christine and I really like to do deeper work inside the chakras. So if we were in the sacral, for example, and we noticed there was some trauma there, and it doesn't matter what it is, if it's still being held in the body, it's considered a trauma. So we can draw that Hanzaji Shonan symbol and we can send Reiki to that instance that is still being held in the body. Just a really great way to help heal. I know Christy and I, we really like to work with archangels, so we would call them in as well. So it can either be either or that and. You can do whatever feels good. And you can always back it by a Shoku-rei as well, just that power symbol, or even that Seihei-ki, the emotional symbol, to help just back that up and balance everything out too if you wanted. So it's just a really powerful symbol. And you can even use it when you are wanting to send Reiki to your future self. Like say you have a job interview, or say that you have a big day, school starting tomorrow, and you want to send it to your kids for the next day. Anything, like it's really endless. Even past relationships that need closure or healing that maybe didn't get it, you can send Reiki past there. And of course, it won't change the outcome, but it will change how we hold it and feel it in our body.
Yeah, that all makes sense. And it's so wild to, wrap our human brains around, being able to tune into the future and then the present and then the past. And it's just like, it's all happening at the same time, really, when you think about it. But it's just like for our human selves to put it into categories, then it makes it easier. And I've done a lot of inner child healing with Reiki, but I've never tuned into like my future self. And I thought that was really neat. I'd really like to try that, just picture myself, like where would I be in 10 years? And then like send like that love and self-confidence and things into the future. It's just, I think it would just be kind of something neat to play around with. Like, of course, with intention of,
Yeah, especially if you have a goal. Like I know Christy and I, we have goals of where we want to be in like 2 years, 5 years, and setting Reiki, that's such a great idea. And really, the only difference between like sending distant Reiki really good and excellent is just the more you practice, the more you can tune into that and just bring your focus there, the better and the better it gets. My distance sessions, and Christy, as you know, only does distance, is excellent. It makes no difference if they're here in the room or if they're not.
yeah, yeah, I know. Isn't that wild to think about? And it just,
Hmm.
brings in like that whole quantum entanglement, how something's happening on this side of the world but then it's affecting something on the other side of the world. And I kind of went down the rabbit hole of trying to like understand this in my mind, because I don't have a really scientific mind. I struggled in science in school, and like but I was really good in art, so it's like when things are really practical, it takes me a bit to like wrap my head around it. But I just wanted to share something that I found to break it down, how this whole thing can work when you're not in the same space, but you set that intention and the symbol to send that distance Reiki. So it's like if you imagine two seeds from the same tree and they're planted in different forests, so miles apart, and they grow into separate trees. So to the eye, they look like they have no connection, but deep in the unseen roots of the earth, they share the same underground network. So when the wind stirs the leaves of one tree, the other tree feels it through that hidden web. It's not about sound or sight, it's like an invisible communion. And then in the quantum world, entangled particles are like those trees. So even if they're separated by vast space, they remain part of the same root system in the fabric of the universe. So a shift in one is instantly mirrored in the other. So when I'm doing distance Reiki on my surrogate bear and you're in Denmark across the world, when I'm placing my hands on your heart and I'm sending that Reiki there, you're going to feel it across the world, if that makes sense. I don't know. I hope I explained that.
No, you did, and it does make sense. And I can have, because I do a lot of my sessions over the phone, they can feel it when
Yeah.
I'm there. And there's a lot of science back behind this quantum entanglement theory. I actually had to look this up, Christy, when you wanted to talk about it a bit, because I was like, what? But then I was like, no, this does make sense about the trees and the ripple effect and all being connected into that quantum field. Yes, I've just never really given it much thought, and I didn't thrive at science either. But there's a lot of Reiki and things that are getting a lot of scientific exposure, like things like that. There's a lot of studies now that are going into things like that, so it's pretty awesome.
It is. And it wakes a lot of people up when there's science to back things. Like I've never been one where I need the science and the research to believe in something. I just tune into myself and what feels right to me, what feels like truth to me. But I know like a lot of people like to have that science there. And even with like sound and frequency, and there's so many studies that are being done right now, which are so fascinating. And yeah, I just love the advancement of it. And it's moving so fast. It's like, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and this guy was talking about how do you explain somebody passing away from heartbreak? There's nothing in scientific texts that will explain something like that. So there's obviously something more to the heart space, to the heart chakra, and the feelings in it, within it. So yeah, actually, that's actually a good segue into the meridians.
Yeah. Let's talk about the meridians and the body's energy highways, as you were saying earlier, if you want to
Yeah.
get into this topic.
Yeah, so the meridians are very fascinating. I know Amanda and I shared that we both were really interested in taking acupuncture. And I actually, I had the school picked out. I knew I was going to start looking for places to live, move across Canada. And then I was just like, oh my goodness, I can't do it. So, but anyways, through my research and learning about the meridians, I found it very valuable to use in my Reiki practice. Just connecting the different energies and then the chakras. But yeah, okay, hold on. Let me rewind here and explain what the meridians actually are. So in traditional Chinese medicine, we have meridians, and you can think of them as rivers of life force, so-called qi, that are running underneath the skin. And they connect every organ, every cell, and every emotion. And when these rivers run smoothly, we can feel balanced. But if they get blocked through stuff like stress or trauma, lifestyle, or even long, deep held emotion, it can act like a traffic jam in the body. And the flow slows down, and eventually both the body and the spirit can feel it. And when I used to go for acupuncture, yeah, they work with these meridians. And they place the needles along the meridians to open up that chi. They will find that blockage. And if anyone's ever gone for acupuncture, they put the they tune in, they put the needles in, and then they leave the room. And that's time when they left the room and you were just there in silence, and you could feel, I could feel the energy opening up and the energy moving. And then they come in and they turn the needles, and then you feel it again. And it was the coolest thing. I really, really loved acupuncture. And if you think about it, acupuncture has been around for, I think, thousands of years. And, there's so many different modalities, but if we take it back to something as simple as these meridians and these energy highways, it's why are we complicating things with other, what am I trying to say here? I just feel like the energy highways are a very simple way to learn about the energy and the way it flows through the body and the organs.
Yeah, and I think about it almost like a dam. When something is the when you because you probably because you're talking about the water flowing. So yeah, when something is kind of clogged and the water can't flow, it really does put the rest of the body in stress, right? Because the other parts of the body have to make up for the out of balance. And so even if it is something internal, right, we don't really notice, well, your body is definitely reacting to it. And I have noticed that my clients actually will have commented, especially if I'm working on someone's specific organ, like the liver. We work on the liver a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I notice now when I'm doing that, I'm actually not pinching, but I'm holding the shoulder on that side while working the liver, and then going down the leg, and then even at the foot. So it feels like I'm working that meridian. And I think a lot of Reiki practitioners are doing that, whether they are intentional about it or not. But mine just feels a lot more intentional now, probably because we've talked about them a lot and we're really interested in them, that I almost have that intention set that I want to drain that line, and I'm moving that energy down. And I've had a client actually say she could feel it just like you did with acupuncture. She could feel her liver releasing and leaking out almost.
Wow.
It was really quite interesting. Yeah, I thought it was super interesting.
It is. And it's funny. It's when you're saying that, it's maybe we were acupuncturists in a past life, that we have this
Yeah.
intuitive knowledge of the meridians. Because when you look at, if you Google a map of the meridians in the body, there's a lot of them. They
Oh yeah.
crisscross and they go, or well, all these different ways. And it's kind of overwhelming. It's wow. But when you're looking for a specific one and you follow it and you see where it goes through the body, it's like, oh, right, I was holding my hand here and then I had my hand on the bottom of her foot. And it's like, wow, I was connecting that energy. I was opening up that energy pathway. And yeah, it's so interesting. And when you think about these different modalities, at the end of the day, they all kind of weave in together. We're just trying to open up the energy channels that get stuck. That's like the main thing.
Yeah. And there are 12 principal meridians, so also called the standard or primary meridians, that are foundational energy channels in the traditional Chinese medicine, through which qi circulates in pairs across the body's limbs. So they align with our yin and yang properties and the 5 elements, each linked to the major organ systems and peak energy time. So again, we have that yin and yang energy. And so yin, which would be on our left side, is our lung, heart, and pericardium. And then our yang, which is that masculine side, which would be our large intestine, small intestine, triple burner. And our legs too, right? Our yin would be, because it goes into the split, yin would be our spleen, kidney, and liver. And then yang would be our stomach, bladder, and gallbladder. You know what's funny? I didn't actually think the liver would be part of the yin. I actually thought it was more part of the yang because of where it's located. And I'm always on the right side of the body when I am trying to drain out that liver, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That is interesting. I don't know if I would have pictured that either. Again, because I feel like the liver is, like the more of the doer, like the angry, the more masculine, like that type of thing. But yeah, interesting. See, we learn something every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm going to explain the key meridians and emotions. I'll just break it down here just to give you an idea of what they all mean and what can happen when something is blocked. So we have the heart meridian, and this is your emotions. And when it's in balance, you can feel joy, connection, love, of course. But then if it's blocked, you can feel anxiety, restlessness, or maybe even trouble sleeping, which I find really interesting. I've never related the heart to sleeping, but I guess the meridian, yeah. And then we're going to go into the liver meridian. And so this is your visionary, your problem solver. So when it's in balance, when the energy highways are open and flowing, it's flexibility, creativity, decisive. But when it's blocked, you can feel frustrated, irritable. You can have headaches, or even can affect PMS. And I know I have a lot of issues with my liver. And, it was even tracing back to at a physical standpoint, taking a lot of Motrin as a child, and that really impairing my liver as a kid. But then going back even further into my birth, I held a lot of anger, a lot of energy of anger in my liver that I needed to clear out before it could clear out physically. So if that makes sense. But yeah, it was just a long-term thing dealing with my liver, but it's in a good space now. I feel I've been giving it a lot of love, a lot of attention, but we forget about that liver. It's very, very important because it filters emotions. Everything that you're physically taking in is being filtered through that liver, but also any of our emotions as well. And then the next one is our lung meridian. So your breath, how you release. And when it's imbalanced, you can feel inspired. You're able to let things go. But if it's blocked, you can feel grief, sadness. You can catch colds, or you can have shallow breathing, because we know how important those deep breaths are. And then the next one is the kidney meridian. So this is your hidden battery. I didn't know how important the kidney meridian was until I started learning about Qigong and the focus they had on the kidney area. And when it's in balance, you have courage, vitality, resilience. But when it's blocked, you have fear, exhaustion, and even lower back pain can hang out there. And then the last one is stomach and the spleen meridians. So your processors of life. When in balance, you can feel grounded, clear-headed, but when it's blocked, worry, overthinking, and digestive discomfort.
Yeah, when you were describing the liver, actually, how it kind of processes the emotion, because it does, and that's where we hold on to a lot of our anger. That is actually a very feminine quality, isn't it? When you think about it like that.
Yes.
So
Yep.
it is funny that it's associated to the yang.
Oh, that's a
Yang?
really
No,
good point.
the yin. Yeah.
The yin, yeah. 'Cause it's like, I'm going to hold on this till my deathbed, you know?
That's totally, yeah. Hang
Yep.
on to this and never let go. Yeah, and grief in the lungs. Absolutely. I was very aware of that. And then I've worked on a lot of people's kidneys too, especially
Really?
if they're having lower back pain. So you really got to make sure your kidneys are hydrated. Get a lot
Yes.
of water in there. It's so important. Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. And, it's really interesting how when I was learning about these and then thinking about the chakra system, it's crazy how it all kind of weaves in together and it all makes sense when you think about like where the lungs are and where grief is. Well, that's around your heart. And then you think of like the kidneys and you think of it like for your vitality. I think of it like the front where your solar plexus is, like your solar power. And it's just so fascinating to look at that. And, when we're doing Reiki, you don't need to know exactly where the meridian is unless you really are interested in this and you really want to study. But I feel like the Reiki is going to know where it needs to go. But I feel like just having that knowledge of where you're working kind of makes it more intentional. And when you deliver it to the client too, I feel like you can make that connection. Because I had that happen. I shared in another episode where my client was going for acupuncture the same time I was doing Reiki, and we were both working on that liver meridian. I just found that so fascinating.
It is fascinating. And, when I'm working on a client, I do like to know where the organs are in the body because I
Mhm.
like to be able to tell my client either while I'm working or a recap after what I'm doing. So I'd like to have that knowledge because it makes me feel good to just know those things.
Mhm.
It's not necessary. And Reiki does have an intelligence of its own. So you don't have to direct it at all. It is going to go to the place of dis-ease and it is going to clear and do its job. So, I mean, if you're doing a very traditional silent Reiki session and you're not talking to the client, you don't even have to be tuning into that. You can just trust by placing your hands in the hand positions or wherever the hand positions you feel called to. It's going to do its thing and it's going to clear whatever it is. You don't even have to know on a deeper level what it's clearing, but it definitely is going to get there.
Yes, that's so true. Just having that trust that the energy is going to flow where it needs to go. And like a really neat visual is when working with these meridians, it's like, and Reiki, it's like we're gently or restoring that movement of that highway, but in a gentle way. So it's like a warm current meeting ice in a frozen stream. So it's just, letting it, dissolve and melt. And then all of a sudden that river is open and the energy is flowing.
Yes. I do want to share a couple Reiki tips though. If people really wanted to try to bring their attention on clearing some of these meridians or energy lines. And so one of them is like hand placements and then sweeping. So I'm not too sure if people learn this in their Reiki practice, but I teach my clients to sweep. So you would start with maybe one hand held, like let's say on the shoulder or wherever you're working on, and the other hand is actually sweeping. So your hand is usually in a closed fingers, but it doesn't have to be, but just usually, and it's kind of cupped, and you are taking that energy in hand and you're sweeping it down the body. So you're just going from whatever area you're working on and sweeping that energy all the way down their legs and into the roots. So the roots are washing it out. And then you can sweep that in that downward motion as many times as you want. And then placing your hand on the meridian lines if you want to, or just in the area that you want to, but when you're sweeping like that, you're like clearing out those lines, getting the chi moving. I sweep a lot during my Reiki sessions. Another one is actually using the breath as well. So using that pranayama and that intention to move the chi. I've actually given my Reiki clients, either in person or on the phone, I've given them instruction to take breaths. So even just like that quick, sharp inhale and then exhale. So it's like that really helps. I actually think it might even now be for the lungs. I never even associated this, Christy, before to maybe it's for the lungs. So we need to get that air in there. But using that breath too with your clients and getting that moving, I find is really powerful. I actually thought it was because we were moving the energy from the sacral or the stomach up into the heart and out, but I actually am now wondering if it's supposed to be more specifically for the lungs. I don't know, just talking out loud makes me think of it, yeah.
I know that would make sense. And it's funny, like, as we say things, we're learning things ourselves as we go. I just love that.
Yes, absolutely.
I love
and you can even visualize these lines being cleared. Or maybe you want to call on Archangel Raphael to bring light and just clear out those lines too. We love working with the archangels as well. Again, whatever kind of feels good to you.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I know working with like Archangel Raphael, I can picture him like sending the emerald light from the crown. And then if you can picture it going through all the meridians and just clearing everything out, just like opening up those rivers, the energy highways, and just a good visualization. And I do like how you mentioned that sweeping. I was never taught that, but it's just something that I've intuitively done.
Yep, same.
Yeah.
We were never taught that.
No.
We just started doing it. Yep.
Yeah. I remember you were sweeping one time, so I think it was like, it felt like a windstorm in there. I was like, what is going on? So I opened my one eye. I was like, what is she doing?
I know. That's what my friend says too. That's so funny. I know. Especially if my room is cooler and then I hear him just blowing all this air around with my hands. I know.
But it's just so powerful. Like when I'm doing it, it just feels like, hey, I'm taking care of that energy. We're just sweeping it out. I really love it.
Me too.
Yeah.
And Reiki energy really helps clear blockages in the meridians and the Nadis, like facilitating smoother energy flow through the aura and the chakras and even all those subtle channels. So Reiki is A+ to help get those things going.
Yes. Yes, it is. And it just like weaves so nicely together.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Nadis. It's really similar to the meridians.
Yeah, I was saying these wrong. Sorry. How do you no?
Why?
Well, I think I said Nadis. How do you say it? No, I would trust what you think. I've never heard of them before until you told me about them. So.
Oh, this is so funny. Well, we apologize if we are pronouncing these incorrectly. It's so funny. I didn't even really think about it. It's kind of like chakra and chakra.
Chakra, yeah.
Which is chakra, by the way.
Oh, right. Yes. That's
so
right.
just bear with us. We're sorry. We're not yogi experts, which is where a lot of this really stems from, is that yogi and Ayurveda culture. But Nadis, the channels of prana, are subtle conduits for prana. So the life force sustaining our body, mind, and spirit. Texts suggest we have 72,000 to 350,000 nadis branching from our foundational energy centers. So the heart kind of just below the navel. And there are three most significant ones. So we got Ida, which is left, lunar, cooling, and the feminine. We have Pringala, which is our right, solar, warming, and our masculine. And then we have our Sushumna. So it's our central channel that runs through the spine and connects the 7 chakras. I actually love hearing about energy with the spine.
Yes.
Functionally, nadis correspond with that subtle body to nerves and plexuses in the physical body. So connecting our chakras to all body regions. And then in yoga practices, especially pranayama, mudras, and cleansing techniques are used to purify and unblock these channels. So again, using that breath, enabling the Kundalini to rise, so that's Sushumna, for expanded consciousness. So really working with that energy with the spine.
I love that. Yeah, I learned something new. I didn't even know these existed, and I just find it so fascinating because it does, you know, when you think about the meridians and then you think about these, it's like the meridians are the rivers in the physical body, but these are the golden threads in the subtle body. So the energy system you can't see, but you can feel. So it's like when we're doing Reiki, we're tuning into both of these, into the meridians and then into the subtle body. So it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's so fascinating. And when the Reiki flows through the nadis, it bounces the moon and the sun, and it opens a central channel so our life force can rise freely. So this is often when people feel both energized and deeply at peace at the same time, which is really cool to think about. Like I've never thought of balancing the moon and the sun energy.
Yeah. And it is good. We need to have that balance, just like our masculine and feminine, which is pretty much what that's talking about. Our moon and our sun, our left and our right, and then all the way up the spine. Beautiful.
Yes, I do love that. And today I was feeling at such peace with myself, and I was just felt so calm. And then I also felt energy at the same time. So I felt this today, which is so fascinating. And I was like, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel so calm? And I was like questioning myself. I was like, what is going on? But you know what? I had a really good sleep the past 3 nights. And I feel like that is something that really, really energized me and just rebooted my system. And I've also been playing around with my tuning forks a lot too and clearing my chakras. So I feel like that has been really helping things clear out as well. So yeah.
That's probably why you were sleeping so good. You cannot put a price on great sleep.
No,
Oh,
so true.
yeah.
And I have my tuning fork beside my bed now. So I'm laying in bed and I'm like dinging each chakra. And I was like, oh, this is lovely.
Oh, it's really setting the tone.
It is. And I have a good sleep, but also Troy is, he's working away. So it's just me and the dog in the bed. So I feel like it's, yeah, a little more, rest or nobody interrupting your sleep. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yes, that helps too.
Okay, and I did want to touch on one last topic here, and it's about scars, piercings, and tattoos and how they can affect your energy system. And let's start with scars. So, especially like surgical scars, it's like when you're cut into, like your physical body is cut into. You can picture like a meridian being like cut in half, like a dam going across the river. And the energy might slow down or it could reroute, sometimes affecting like the whole system downstream. And a major scar that I believe isn't talked about enough is the C-section scar, because it crosses the conception vessel and it's a central energy channel for grounding and reproductive vitality, right? When we think of that sacral chakra and then we think of the energy there. And I know, Amanda, you've experienced this firsthand.
Yes, I have. And I will Reiki that spot still, actually. Or even if I'm working on a client that has a C-section scar as well, my hand will go to mine, almost like to give me a clue as in we need to Reiki that for them. Especially like I've known women who had 4 kids, C-section for all of them.
Wow.
Like that's a lot because you're not cutting into the same scar. You're making a new one.
Oh,
So
I didn't
it
know
is,
that.
well, yeah. Hold on now. I actually don't know that factually. We need Joe Rogan's guy to
Yeah.
fact check that for us. But no, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they can't cut into the same spot. I'm pretty positive they'd have to cut just slightly below it or above. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so it's a lot of it's a lot to cut into that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on just a homeopathic remedy that is used for when our body is cut into. Because I like to, sprinkle in a little bit of what I know about homeopathy if you're ever interested in it. And I just found this one very fascinating. I do have firsthand experience with this remedy called Staphylos aureus. And you take this when like the physical body is like literally cut open and it leaves like a cellular memory of invasion. So it can make you feel like vulnerable, a loss of control, or even like anger that you didn't know you had. And then on the spiritual side, you can have like a sense of being disconnected from the body or even like violated at a sacred level, especially like, the C-section is in a very vulnerable spot on a woman. So it's really interesting to tune into, even more support through homeopathy if you ever feel this way about any surgeries or scars or like things that have happened that you're wondering if they still need healing. Like, and then you also can think about the Reiki part of it as well. I feel like, the Reiki and then this remedy married together, I just feel like is such potent. It's funny, the train just came by when I said that, just for validation. I just feel like it's just a really potent pairing to really heal the body and let it know that it is okay and that needed to happen, that the body did need to be cut open at that time, but now it's okay and we can heal and we can let that go.
So do you drink this? Do you put it on?
Yeah, so it's homeopathic remedies come in either like a tincture form, like a liquid, and you can squirt it under your tongue or you can put it in water. And then they also come in little pellets as well, like a sugar pellet.
Oh,
Yeah, you can
interesting. So
take.
you would
Yeah.
ingest it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like an oil. I was thinking maybe it'd be like an oil you would rub on right for the scarring or okay. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like an energetic push to, push your healing, like your own natural healing in the right way.
Yeah. I think a lot of women, I know the recovery is really hard when you've had a C-section. Not that I've had the other, but I know for a C-section, my own personal experience, it was crippling hard for weeks and weeks. You have no idea how much muscles you use in those lower abdomen. Even to sit up out of bed to even grab my child was a nightmare. I had to have to like slither off the side like a snake. Like it was,
I bet, hey,
yeah,
because
all better now though.
yeah, that is like a major, major cut.
Yeah, a
Yes.
lot of layers too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So let's move into piercing. So piercings often intersect acupuncture points. So our earlobes, for example, are connected to our digestion and our hormones. And then navel piercings can actually influence the kidney meridian, which governs our energy reserves. And what's really interesting about this one is when I was going for acupuncture, I remember after one session, I was sitting at home and I got the clear message I needed to take out my piercing, like my navel piercing that I had since I was like 15. And I really loved it. And I was like, I don't want to, but then I started thinking of like my solar plexus and my energy system. And then like the whole, I think it's the sorry, I'm not sure. I don't want to say something, I don't know the specific name, but like the kidneys and like just the energy around it. And I just felt like there was an energy leak there. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take it out. And I did. And I noticed a difference in my vitality and in my energy. It just seems like, that energy system was opened up again and it wasn't blocked by like a piece of metal. Like, of course, I still have the scar tissue there and I still like the hole hasn't healed. But I feel like by taking that out, has restored a bit of that balance there because, you don't want that bridge coming over that meridian. So that was my own personal experience. But, you know, when you think of piercings in different places and, you know, when you're young, it's like, oh, I want my tongue pierced and my eyebrow and all these different things. But, you know, when you look at the energy, or sorry, like the energy behind this, it's like sometimes you have to ask yourself, like, is it worth it?
And you know what's funny? Okay, so my sister, when we were teenagers, pierced her own belly button.
Mm.
And I know, I'm sure maybe a lot of women can relate to this. Anyways, it got infected. And she actually has issues with her kidney.
No
And she's
way.
kind of like on a watch. So well, obviously doing an at-home piercing isn't the best route, but I am curious about her body rejecting that and then her having issues with her liver, with her kidney. I think it's very interesting.
That is interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She should go for some acupuncture and see if like there is like something, some kind of block going on there.
Oh, how have I never recommended that? Or maybe I don't know. I will recommend that, especially after this
Yeah.
conversation. Or at least, yeah, have you do some Reiki, get those lines cleared up. Probably
Yes.
both. Actually, both would be most beneficial.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the last one is about tattoos. So I have one tattoo. I honestly don't think I would get another one. And when I did the research behind this, it was like found different thing or like there's different points of views if tattoos block energy. But I feel like they can hold an emotional or symbolic imprint, like an energetic signature in your field. So if you got like a tattoo during a powerful life event, I feel like it can carry that energy with you. And then if you have a tattoo with somebody else, it can almost, you know, like kind of bind you together. Because if you think of, you know, people that get those tattoos when they're like married, and then when they split up, it's like that's the first thing that they want to get rid of is like they want to wipe that person's name out because it's just like it's inked into you. They're like the permanent ink, but then if you also think of that permanent energetic imprint in there as well, it's like you want to clear that out.
Well, and I think about our conversation with Tara, who is a tattoo artist, and that energy of even the tattoo artist putting their stamp into you, and that's a whole vibration too. I would never really thought of. And like, okay, I have no tattoos, so I can't really speak to the energy on myself. My spouse though has enough. He's covered like his whole body, and he's not done. So I would be curious, especially some of the ones he's gotten. Like he's had some party tattoos, right? So like kind of like his probably has a low vibration as you could get there. And it's funny, it's actually on his foot. So you think about grounding
Ah,
and that
yes.
energy there, but I'll have to kind of ask. I think he's pretty good. Well, he has a lot of self-awareness, so but I don't know how he feels about grounding, but I should ask because he has a pretty weird one on his foot from a night of drinking.
That would be interesting to find out. Yeah, see if he's got and you know the feet are a foundation if there's any like thing going on there and then like depending on what side, the feminine side, the masculine side, like there's so many avenues you can really look into and yeah, tattoos are, you know, a whole thing. I really appreciate the art that goes into a tattoo and how much expertise that takes because that can't be easy. You know, just drawing something, but then drawing it into a human canvas is like next
Yeah.
level. But
Yeah.
yeah, just for me, it was the pain and then it being so permanent after. Because, you know, I remember I really wanted a tattoo that said inner peace on my wrist when I was like 21. And like, thank goodness I didn't get that because it's like when you look at like
Dying.
your tattoos, it's like it is a point of it when you're in that certain point in your life, you know, and then as you move on, maybe that doesn't mean is something as important to you, you know.
Tell them what you have. You had your one tattoo.
Oh yes, this was So my best friend of, oh boy, we met in 93. So we got matching robot tattoos. And, the story behind it, I wish I had a story of like, the robot was symbolic and there's these big, like, like a story, a movie, like something behind, but it was like, no. Carlene was doing my nails one day and she's like, do you want to get a tattoo of robot? And I said, sure. And that's how it went.
I actually made fun of this when I emceed Christy's wedding.
Yes, you did. That's right.
Yes, I did. So funny.
Oh, that
But
was good.
I think to the essence of the tattoo is symbolizing the friendship and the love that you guys have for each other.
Yes.
And especially when parents get tattoos like of their kids' names and, symbols of family and loving things like that. Like I do truly believe you're putting a loving energy there into your body
Yeah, totally.
with that intention, so.
Yeah, I feel like it is the intention behind it. And then also, with the power of Reiki, if you have a tattoo that maybe reminds you of a time in your past that maybe wasn't a great time, just send Reiki to that tattoo and even send the symbol, the distance symbol to your past self. And at that time you got the tattoo. See what happens.
Yeah, absolutely you could. Even if you went in with maybe hesitation, send that Han Shazi Shonan to yourself in that time and give yourself love back then. Or maybe you did get a tattoo with somebody and now maybe things have fallen apart. Definitely send Reiki to that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Tying it all in at the end.
Yeah, there we go. Just in a nice little bow. It's just like, no matter what we do to our bodies and the different things we go through in life, I just feel like there's always a way to heal it. And, Reiki is just such a great, gentle space or to start to clear that energy out.
It is. It is. And if you're going for a session, just tell your Reiki practitioner just to send some extra love to that space. See if they even pick up on anything there. Yeah,
that would be interesting. And now that you have that awareness of where that tattoo is, maybe pay attention in your next Reiki session. They're really on this side and you have a tattoo on your rib and just then your liver's there. I don't know. There's just so many layers to it, but it's really fun.
Yes, it is.
So, should we get into the card pull?
Yes, and Christy today is going to give us a nice message for our listeners today. What is in the cards?
Yeah, I pulled these cards ahead of time and I have, oh boy, yeah, a lot sitting here. I pulled a bunch came out. So I'm just going to see which ones are jumping out to me right now. Okay. So the ripple effect. Part of something bigger, details are taken care of. So this is like tuning into that quantum entanglement theory and that ripple effect. So when you're doing Reiki on somebody and you have those doubts come in that you feel like you're not making a difference on the other end of the session. So say you're doing a distance session for the first time or the second time and you just feel like nothing is moving, like you feel like nothing is happening. Just trust this ripple effect. Like when I explained like the two trees, just trust that what you are doing in your space at that time is going to be felt on the other end. And the guides are saying it's all about intention. If you come into the session and you are nervous about it, but if you talk to your guides and you set that intention, with the most love and that you really want to learn and you really want this session to be the best session for this client at this time, that is what is going to happen. So it's like, when you set that intention, it's like you write it down, you fold it up, and then you throw it out into the universe. And don't think too hard about it is what your guides are saying, because sometimes we can get wrapped up in being too perfect or did we do it right? I don't know what's going on, but it's just trusting, writing it down and letting it go. And then the next card here is clear water. So clear vision, confirmation, right timing, and opportunity. So this is also leaning into the Reiki practice. And this is really for the beginner. I feel like this message is for the beginner. And when you have an opportunity to practice on somebody, take it. You know, when you're new, take that opportunity, because that is how you learn. And I remember when I first started and somebody wanted me to practice on them, and I was really, really nervous about that because I really wanted to impress them. But the spirit guides are saying you need to let that ego go and set that aside and just go in and, you know, tune into that childlike energy. You know, when kids are really curious about different things and they're not really hard on themselves if they're wrong or if they're right. You know, if like they fall down and they get back up and like, I'm going to try again. So it's just like really leaning into that inner child within you when you first start out. And, you know, I feel like the right timing comes with Reiki as well. Like it finds you at the exact right time that you're supposed to find it as well. Because I feel like somebody out there like, you know, found this podcast and then they're curious about Reiki and then they were like, why is this all happening? It's like, listen to that and take that leap. And then the last card here is making waves. So momentum is building. It's your time and achievement. So it's like hearing that call to study the Reiki and the Reiki journey. And, you know, it's interesting because what my guides are showing me right now is like I see a graduation and I see like 30 people sitting there with caps and gowns on, and they're part of a Reiki journey, and they all got their Reiki and they are now going out on their way. And I'm seeing all these doors open, and you know, I see 10 people go down the Reiki route, and then I see 5 people go into mediumship, and then 2 go into sound healing, and then 3 walk into their practice at work. They're a teacher, they're a dentist, they're a doctor. And it's just like they're taking their Reiki practice into whatever flows into their life. So when you hear that call for Reiki, it's like, I don't have to be like a be all end all Reiki practitioner. I can take this Reiki and I can put it into something that I already do, or this Reiki is going to open up another part of me and it's going to open up another door. So it's just leaning into that, and the whole learning about our own energy system, and today learning about the meridians and the different energy channels, and just keeping your knowledge open, because like we're forever students on this earth and we're always going to keep learning. And what my guides, the final message they're saying is we learn by doing. So trust yourself, put yourself out there, and, you know, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that is where that true growth happens. All right.
Great messages today. I feel like I took a little away from each one, actually.
Oh, did you? Oh, good.
Yeah. And I love that message for new people wanting to start, just practice.
Yes.
And Reiki is going to find you at the right time. It is the right time if it's finding you now. You can trust that.
Yeah. And listen to that. And, you know, it's just like, it's just the gateway for so many different things. And, you know, if we didn't take that leap, if we didn't listen to that call, where would we be now? I don't even know. I can't even picture it.
No, I'd be incomplete.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for listening. Keep in tuned for our September Reiki Circle. We haven't picked a date yet for that, and we will, and we'll post it. And follow us on Instagram. That's where you can find that. So Living the Reiki Life. And we have our own personal handles. Mine is Reiki with Manda.
And you can find me at the Birch Soul.
Right on. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Yep. See you next time.
1, 2,